Hello everyone, welcome to my live stream. I'm continuing work today on the preliminary sketches for my Halloween illustration this year. Yesterday, if you watched my stream, I finished these thumbnail sketches and came to a point where I liked how everything was working. But when I started this, the larger sketch that will help inform my final sketch, I realized I needed to look up some reference images for how things appear in real life. So even though this is going to be stylized, I still need to know what they look like in reality in order to give it a nice grounding so that, you know, it's similar to the suspension of disbelief in fiction writing. If you draw something in a stylized form, but it's clearly informed by reality, it's that much more enjoyable. So I've got my window open here with all my reference images. I just need to turn my screen so I can see it better. And not only is this these images, are they going to help me know just what things look like, they're also helping me realize what elements I need to include. So for instance, I'm looking at this rocky riverbank and there's all these plants next to it, and here's another one where it's a pond and there's this grass growing right out of the pond right along, and it's not, you can't see the dirt because the dirt is under the water. So when I was seeing that, I realized I could use that as part of this framing. So I drew this stuff thinking I'd put some sort of plants or bushes or something like that. But even better, more realistic to the way water works and the way plants grow nearby, is I actually put it in the water, growing out. So I'm not sure where I'm going to start. This is the first image I saved. Maybe I'll just start there. Save some images simply to make sure I'm drawing the reflection in a believable way. So something that I never realized with reflections, with the rippling of the water, the reflection eventually gets totally broken apart so that there are just like bubbles. But that's farther away. The closer you get to the source of the reflection, the less of that there is. So that's something I definitely want to incorporate. And most of these pictures are taken from so far away that it's pretty much the same amount of space for the reflection. Like this is just as big as what's in the reflection. So with that in mind, I might need to change, but since they're taken far away, maybe that's part of the difference. And all that kind of stuff I'm thinking about right now when I'm working on this. And for this river bank, well, I'm figuring it's a pond rather than a river, but this bank here, I was drawing it just as like a blob, not quite exactly sure what I was going to do, but liking the idea of making it bigger so it's sort of like an arrow shape in general. But I really liked these images with, oh, I actually found an image with a cat reflected in water. But I liked these that had rocks right at the bank. So I think I'm going to use rocks as well as grass to make this, like water grass, to make up the bank. When I was thinking of it, I was thinking it would just be like dirt or something, maybe a little bit of small plant life, but when I actually look at the reference images, it's not really how it seems to work once it gets close to the water. And maybe I also need to either I need to draw this bank a little higher up, and that would give more room for the reflection down here. There's something I was thinking of just now, and I already forgot. I've also got references for these fireflies. And they're all among this grass in this one picture. Oh, this one too. So I definitely want to include a lot of grass for the fireflies to be in. Let's see. I'll erase these lines since I have a better idea of what I want to do. What I want to do with the bank, I mean. And even though I drew it like just a curvy line and another curvy line, that was just to indicate the general shape. It's not going to be just one smooth line. I want to draw several different rocks of different sizes, make it look a little more organic. Ooh, I also wanted to draw Kiba actually standing on a rock himself. Since these are rocks by the water, they should all be round due to erosion. Let me get back to a reference image that had river rocks in it. Okay. So I'll need to draw these rocks reflected in the water too. So whatever I draw up here, I need to show it reflecting. And this becomes so cute when you add the math. I definitely wanted him to have a happy mouth. I've been debating whether I should draw him with his original amount of fangs, or if I should draw him with the one fang that he has left, because he just has the worst teeth. We have him cleaned every year, and until he needed prescription food, he had the same exact diet as all the other cats. We only have 3 cats. All the other cats makes it sound like a lot, but we have 3 total. Anyway, he ate the same diet as everyone else, but almost every year, if not every year, every dental cleaning he'd lose a tooth. And I think this most recent one, lost 2 or 3 teeth. I say lost, but they extracted them on purpose because they had signs of decay and everything. So he's only got one little fang left. I think it's this one. I'm gonna have to look it up. But I don't necessarily have to draw his missing fang. I just haven't decided what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna draw a missing fang or not. Or purposefully neglect to draw the missing fang, I guess is a better description. Starting to think maybe it would be a good idea to divide this up differently than I had been. Guess I could just do this. So I've been dividing it up by the rule of thirds for this side. But maybe what I should do is divide it down the middle and then divide it again so that the head of both the skeleton and Kiba are at an intersecting point. Because if I move this up, I feel like it's, now that I'm drawing it out to scale, the skeleton doesn't have enough room. It's cramped down here, and the skeleton was more the point than Kiba was. So if I divide it in half and draw these river rocks at the halfway point, let me see what that would look like on one of these. Or maybe I need to flip it like this and do an up and down image rather than side to side. Okay, let's try one and then the other. So I flip it this way and do rule of thirds for here. Okay, this needs to come down a little bit. There. And do this little sketch, quick sketch. And say, okay, I'm dividing the bank up like this. And Kiba. And Kiba's skeleton. So that's with the rule of thirds and divide it in half. But what if I do, still dividing it in half this way? I'm already starting to think that up and down is what I need to do rather than up and down. Portrait is what I need to do rather than landscape. What if I divide this in half and then divide those sections in half again? What's that like? I already have a feeling I'm not going to like it as much. It already seems like it'll be too cramped at the top. So we've got all this space over on the sides, but the top is so little space. Okay, I'm gonna redo this new orientation. So this was 3 inches. That's why it's kind of fun to do this on this printout. Do all these sketches together, because then when you end up realizing you want to make a change like this, you can actually see the progress of your thoughts. Okay, so we're dividing it up. Dividing it up this way. And we need to divide it in half, but also do the rule of thirds. So, rule of thirds is going to be a little more difficult on this end. Here's the halfway point. Just use that one, because that one's halfway too. This is just to figure out where Kiba's feet and the skeleton feet should generally be meeting. Two inches. There we go. Now, we need to do a little calculation. Calculator. 1 and a 3, 3, 3, 3, 3 forever. 1 and a third. For my rule of thirds here. So it's just going to have to be... So I'm going to have to redraw this, but that's okay, because this is just a sketch paper. Just flip to a new sketch page. So 1 and a third. A third is larger than a fourth, smaller than a half. Though it's not exactly in the middle either. I wish there were thirds on this ruler. It would be easier. 1, 2, so there's 16 of these. Oh, it says 16th right here. 16. This should help me. Calculator again. Five and a 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. So 5 of these. 1, 2, 4, 5. So it's a little bit more. Boom. There. A little bit more than 5 of those lines. Okay. No. 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The tiniest bit. There we go. Now I'm going to do it over here too. Up here. Guess I didn't really need to move the ruler. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a little bit. 1 inch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a little bit. Boom! Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 about. So here's thirds. Doesn't quite look like thirds because the halfway line is throwing me off. But this should definitely be right. brace thing got stuck on the ruler. Now I feel like I need to just crop it in a little bit. But maybe I can do that after the fact. Okay. We're done measuring for now. Why did I turn that back? I need it this way. So now what I want is Kiba's head. Kiba's head goes here. Nice big huge chibi head. And then skeleton skull will be right here. I also love to give chibi animals really huge ears. I think it just ups the cute factor. Okay, so his body, let's see, we're looking at him straight on. Maybe even a little bit above. Here's his body. And his little chibi legs. Yes, happy smile. Yay! Yeah, simplified chibi head. So I wanted him standing on a nice big round flat rock. And some nice round river rocks. I don't want them to be too similar. I want it to look more organic, like these rocks just happen to end up where they are. I kind of still wanted to have that I guess if I make them go up higher than the reflection. Yeah, I gotta keep that in mind. This reflection. Alright, I gotta erase this. I need to have these up higher because there's going to be a reflection of these rocks, and therefore, however big I draw them above this line, that's how big it's going to go into the other side. See, this is why I draw these guidelines in gray ink, because when I need to erase like this, I don't lose those guidelines. But since they're gray, they don't interfere with my graphite work when I'm trying to look and see what I've done and see how I like it. Alright, so let's try drawing this rock again. This round, flat rock. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Yay! I like it when I figure stuff out and make it even better. And I also wanted to include some of these tall stands of grass. I'm seeing in several of these reference images I searched up. That one's going completely off screen. Let's draw this one. All the way on screen. On screen. On the page. On the screen. That's so silly. Excellent, we're getting there. That was my elbow, if you heard that. Oops. Dang it, that's not what I wanted. No. It went into like slideshow mode. No, 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 no. Dang this thing. I'm going through my reference images. I want to see what these rocks look like reflected. This one gives me a good idea. Some of this grass can just be growing like in between rocks too. It doesn't have to be a big bunch. It can just be a little bit. Oh, that looks good, I think. Okay. I'm turning this upside down to draw the reflections. And they're pretty much like a mirror image. I wonder if I should just... No, that won't work. Just have to eyeball it. And this is just for a sketch anyway. This is actually kind of hard to make sure that it's a proper reflection. Maybe what I should do wondering if I can like fold this. Oh, you know what? I think I can, but I need to use my light desk, and that's over there. I can't do it on camera. Well, I guess I'll just finish drawing this top part, and then I'll move on off camera, off stream, move over to my light table so that I can, maybe I'll just put another page on top of it and flip it over. Or I don't know, maybe I don't even need to draw this side because I think I've figured out where I want everything, and this is just going to be a reflection. The only thing different will be the skeleton. So yeah, I'll just focus on this top part because there's still more to draw here. Let's see, I wanted it to be like, I guess kind of trees to create a circle, and there'll be some sky showing, but it will help. And then with the reflection, it will end up being like an oval shape, almost like it's framed by the trees. So now I gotta switch to another reference image, another different one. This one is so cute because it has a little otter in it, and the otter is just looking up. I don't know if it's just shaking off the water or something. This is a pretty reference because it has autumn colors showing through. Like there's still a lot of green, but a bunch of the trees have already turned orange and yellow. there's not really a reference that I found that's doing exactly what I was thinking. So I'm just going to have to make an educated guess about how these trees in the background should look in order to make that sort of encircling effect. Oh, this image is so far away. Okay, I'll use this one. And some different smaller plants closer by. Oh, that doesn't really work with this circle. I'm going to change that one. Probably when I do the big sketch, the big final sketch, it's kind of looks like fire. It's not supposed to be. I'll have to look up some specific water plants that live on river banks or near ponds, so I can make sure to draw something realistic instead of random. Right now, I just kind of want to get the overall effect. Since this is going to be a watercolor piece, I can use watercolor techniques to create these trees in the background, since they really don't need to be detailed. Since they're in the background, they're not the main focus. I'm just going to shade these in so that I can remember that this is all meant to be the tree, the very backgroundmost trees. So now, I think I'm going to use this highlighter pen I recently got in order to indicate where the fireflies should go. I think I might do the fireflies using gouache when I get to the actual painting. That way I can just paint everything and then gouaches opaque, so I can just paint it on top and it doesn't matter what's behind it. So I still think it's a good idea to plan where they're going to be, and then that way I can make lighting effects that shows them lighting up the scene. On the reference images I have, they really like these grasses, so keep them down in the grass. I think I'll do a few like those cool time-lapse photos of fireflies where you can see their streak of their flight pattern. I think that's a good effect for Halloween drawing. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Just want to clean it up a little bit so that when I put it on my light table, it's easier to see. Easier to see what's a line I actually want and what's just a leftover line from sketching. Oh, that looks so cute. Little Kiwi. That's what I call him in real life. Just saying, little Kiwi. Little Kiwi. He's the littlest cat in the house. He was overweight at one point. Then we started measuring his food, and then he had to start having this prescription diet food, which he doesn't like as much. So now he's definitely secured his spot as the smallest cat in the house. It's probably for the best that he's not overly fond of his current food, since now we can just feed him, and we don't just leave the bowl out because we can't let anybody else have the food, but we just let him eat until he's full, and that's never too much. Let him eat until he's full 2 to 3 times a day. I don't want to forget his whiskers. His whiskers are black though, and since this is a nighttime scene, oh, I know. I'll highlight them with green light as if they're catching the light of the fireflies. Yeah, that's what I'll do. That way you can see his cute whiskers, even though it's dark in this scene. Well, there's not really anything more I can do on camera with that. I do need to redraw this though, since I need to redo these guidelines. So let's see. See, this is why I write these calculations down. Now I know exactly what I need to do. I just have to measure it out again. So it needs to be 8.5 by 11. Let's start with this page for those measurements. That way I know I'm getting a -90-degree angle for the corners. This should be, wait a minute. Oh, 8.25 by 11. So this should be 11 anyway, because this is a regular sheet of paper, so I can use this for the 2 corners, 3 sides, and then I'll just measure the last side. Let's get this squared up. Don't move. Don't move, paper. Stay right there. Stay right there. I'm hitting my camera with my head. These papers aren't exactly the same shade of white, but they're so close. It's hard for me to tell. When I put the ruler down. Did I just draw that entirely on the... Ah, I did. Darn it, maybe I don't need the ruler. Maybe I can just go like this. Oops. Maybe not, I don't know. I'm just gonna do it nice and careful. Oh, I know. Ah, stop. Nice and careful, y'all. Nice and careful. Boom. Okay, one last side. I'll do this one since it's free. Don't move. Stay still, paper. Just draw this line. Okay. There. Now let's just measure this. This is 11. Oh wait, dang it. This was the side. Oh well. It's okay. This is 11. And this is 11. Okay, so the 11 is good. Now I need to cut this down by 1/4 inch. It's currently 8.5. I need it to be 8 1/4, so I can scale it up to 9 and 12. 9 by 12 inches. 8 1/4. There. I'll just connect the dots with these two. There, yay. Now, these other measurements. Oh, I gotta redo them anyway. Darn it. I guess this one I don't. 11 divided by 2. 5.5 inches. But now I need to use my gray pen. So at the 5.5 inch mark. That just doesn't seem right. Oh, it's because I've got it over here. Ooh. There we go. 5.5. Now I need my calculator again. I love having a calculator button right on my keyboard. So 4, that's not, oh boy, okay. 4.125. Well, let's see, it's 4 1/2 of a quarter, so that must be right here. So, 4 1/2 of a quarter. There. So now I've got my 2 halfway. And now I need to know what 11. Mark these down. So this is 8.25 no, 4.5. And here was 11 divided by 2. So now, what's 11 divided by 3? 3.6 for almost ever. We'll just make it 3.6. But in order to figure out where that is on the ruler, I need to do another calculation. 16 equals times 2, 10 1/2 about. So this is 3 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 1/2 of a 10. Holy. So I'll just measure again from this point. 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and half. 10. If this doesn't make sense to you, that's okay. I have a certain way of doing math in my head, and whenever I try to explain it to anyone else, they just don't understand what I'm talking about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and a half. All that matters is that the end result works for me. That's why I'm not a math teacher. 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and a half. There, all the marks are down. Now just time to connect the dots. That's not right at all. What happened? Should be 4 and oh, I did it too high somehow. There we go. Just ignore that other line. It's another good reason to put it in gray ink. Then if you make a mistake like that, it's not as noticeable. There we go. Now connecting these two. And if you're doing this, you really want to, you can start a new sheet, but that's not too big of a deal for me. These are the rule of thirds lines, which just don't look right with this other line cutting it in half as well, because it just throws you off. But I know it's right. Measured, calculated, and measured. I wish the backing on my ruler was not coming off. Just leaving little pieces of cork. Okay, this is kind of boring, but I'm going to clean this up a little bit. Not that measuring the numbers weren't boring, but I gotta do what I gotta do to get this done right. I think it's actually my ruler that was making all this marks. I was noticing yesterday on my other sketch. Did not know why there was marks on here. I haven't even started drawing yet. Try to get as much of this onto the floor and not on my lap. And then when I vacuum, it's all sucked up. There. That's nice and clean. Yeah, that's definitely better. Let me mark this down too. This is 8 1/4 by 11 inches big. I've realized that making notes like this is super important because I was posting a piece that I made earlier this year and I just could not remember what size I made it, what size it originally was, since I always post that information when I share my art online. Ooh, hit my light. Hit my light. Alright, so there. So once or what the heck, maybe I'll even just start drawing the final piece, and then I'll use the light table for the reflection in the final piece, because since this is pretty much all going to be just a mirror image of what's up here, and the only difference will be this will be a skeleton. There's not really any reason to draw it in this mini sketch, because this is about getting stuff in position, like where is it going to go, what space is it going to fill. Well, I don't need to figure that out twice. It's going to be a mirror image. But my hour streaming window is over now anyway, so I'm gonna go take a break, and this is gonna be the end of my stream for today. So thank you for watching.